November 125 Mike, your turn. Taxiing runway 11.
So now I'm going to go out and do the VOR DME Alpha at Riverside. Let me give you a close-up of this and we'll just walk through it spot or part by part. So you can see our nav signal here is coming off the Tulsa VOR-TAC on 114.4. Our DME channel, or the TACAN channel, is 91, which we don't need to mess with. Their final approach course is 037, inbound to the VOR-TAC. Our runway landing and touchdown zone elevations are NA. This is because an alpha approach, like DME Alpha, it's a circling approach. It's not straight in because the final approach course and the runway heading are offset significantly. And this box down here, takeoff and alternate minimums are going to apply, so we need to check for those. But we also are not allowed to circle northeast of runways 31 and 19 left. When the local altimeter setting is not received, we're going to use Tulsa International setting, but we're going to increase the minimum descent altitude 40 feet. And the Cat C and D visibilities, which we don't have to mess with because we are in Cat A. For missed approach, we're going to make a climbing left turn to 2,900, head 280, and we're going to catch the Tulsa VOR-TAC R238. We're going to go out to Kevel over here at the 25.4 DME, and we're going to hold. Notice here, this is a left hold. It is non-standard at Kevel. Down here in the plan view, we can see how everything's laid out. We're going to fly the 25 DME arc because one of our initial approach fixes is out here at Kevel. Another initial approach fix is the Okmulgee VOR DME way down here. We're not going to do that. We're going to fly the arc because knowing how to fly an arc is important. Anyone can fly in straight lines, theoretically. So we're going to go out to Kevel. When we get there, we're going to fly on the 25 DME arc. Then we are going to make a left turn inbound on 037. When we're on the arc, we can come down to 2,900 feet. After we turn inbound, we can come down to 2,500 feet. The minimum safe altitude within 25 nautical miles of Tulsa is 3,600 down here. So obviously we're not going to go below that. If we look at the side view down here at the bottom, once we hit Robat, we're going to come down from 2,900. We can go all the way down to 2,500 until Surrey, which is our final approach fix at the 19 DME. And it's got that X marks the spot. That's our final approach fix. In another 3.5 miles, we can go to Akibe at 15.5, and then we're going missed at CVOD, which is the 14.5 off the Tulsa VOR-TAC. Notice down here in the approach categories, there are no straight-in minimum. They're all for circling. So in our category A, which is down below 90 knots approach, we are going to go down to 1,260 feet, and we need a 1 mile visibility. That puts us in at 622 feet above the ground. So I'm going to go out to Kevel, my initial approach fix. I'm not going to go down to the Okmulgee VOR. There's two ways you could come out at this approach. One is off of Okmulgee, and one is from Kevel. I'm going to go to Kevel. So we're going to head roughly that direction here for a second. Kevel is located at the 238 radial off of the Tulsa VOR-TAC. So we're going to dial in here on our VOR. We're at 114.4, which is good. We're going to go to the 238 radial. I'm going to go to 240, which is easy to find, and then give it 2 clicks that way. And you can see we're almost there. It is off to our right. And the minimum safe altitude in this area is 3,600, so we're going to go to 4,000 feet. Kevel's quite a ways out there. You can see here, it's 25.4 miles from the Tulsa VOR-TAC. So we're going to get there in a hurry. No sense in slowing down on this part. What's really cool about the Redbird simulator is that you can use it for instrument currency. I am currently current, but I will be 6 months more current after today. I suppose it's also interesting that you could theoretically not be current in a plane, but still be instrument current in the simulator. All right, we are currently 7.7 miles from the Tulsa VORTAC outbound on the 238 radial toward Kevel. Now, how are we going to locate Kevel? Well, there's a couple ways we could do it. We could triangulate it off the 308 from Okmulgee, which I'll set up in nav2, or we also just simply use the DME from Tulsa at 25.4. The triangulation method and the DME method are both valid, and we can actually compare them against each other. So let me do that. I'll tune Okmulgee into my nav2 radio. It is 114.9. Okay. Now, I want a from radial, don't I? I want the 308. There's 310908. Okay. This needle is automatically centered because I'm tracking the 238 radial outbound from the Tulsa VORTAC toward the Kevel intersection. I'll know when I reach Kevel when this needle centers. At that time, my DME should also read 25.4, which is the second way to identify the intersection. Kevel's also the missed approach fix for that last approach I did, 3-6 right at Tulsa International. You can see there is a published hold here. We're going to fly the DME, the 25 DME arc to Riverside Airport. Well, we've got 12 miles to go. There's not a whole lot going on. I'll be back in a minute. While I'm waiting to get there, though, I can set up everything that I need for my approach. The ATIS is 126.5 at Riverside. Approach control is 134.7. Theoretically, I should already be talking to them, but I'm not. So let's go ahead and do that. There's Tulsa approach control. Then I'm going to need to set in Riverside Tower, which was 120.3. Okay, 120.3 is in my standby now. Everything else is ready. Let me go ahead and I'll pick up my weather at Riverside. That is 126.5. I'll put that one in nav 2 or in comp 2. You always want to listen to the Morse code identifier when you first dial in one of your navs to make sure that you're listening to the correct one and that it's in fact working. If the identifier is not beeping at you over the radio, then the facility is considered out of service and it's not suitable for use. The thing to know about flying a DME arc is to turn 10 and tune 10. You're going to turn 10 degrees and you're going to tune your nav radio 10 degrees on your OBS. When the needle centers, you're going to turn another 10. You're going to turn another 10 each time. And so you're not flying a constant circular arc. You're breaking it up into little segments 10 degrees wide and basically flying straight. You can see our nav 2 is starting to come in. When it centers, we should be at 25.4 miles on our DME. We'll turn 90 degrees left to start our arc. And on the arc, we can come down to 2,900. We're currently at 4,000. We've got a ways to go on it, so we'll have plenty of time to come down at the 25. When we get to here, I'm going to make my turn a little bit before. At this speed, I'll lead my turn by about 7/10 of a mile. 2 miles to go. That needle's almost centered. But I can't really adequately judge my lead on my turn by the needle, so I'm going to use the DME. It'll be much more accurate. And there's 0.7. We're going to go ahead and start our left turn to get on the arc. Two-tenths of a mile out. So I'm going to turn a little bit extra to bring it back in, because I overshot just a bit. You can see I'm a half mile outside my arc. So I turn an extra 10 degrees and watch my DME and bring it back in. Now, I've turned my 10. We are currently on the 036. I'm going to go ahead and spin this thing around so that I don't get reverse sensing now. Now that I'm on the arc. Because I would hate to have reverse sensing on the inbound course and potentially get lost. My needle centered. I'm going to turn my OBS 10 degrees, which in this case is 041. We're looking for the 037. You can see my distance came in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn 10 degrees to the left. And I'm going to start my descent to 2,900. Here comes my needle again. I'm going to turn an extra 5 degrees to bring that distance in and cut that corner a little tighter. My final approach course is 037. So I'm going to set this on its last little turn to 037. I won't turn it a full 10. I'm only going to turn it the additional 4 that I need. And you can see my DME distance is coming in. Okay, so there's 25 nautical miles. I'll probably come in just a tad, because I might have cut that corner a little bit off. Ideally, the point is to keep the station that you're arcing around directly off your left wingtip, or your right wingtip, should the case be. And this turn 10, tune 10 helps you keep it simple. 2 degrees to go, and then I'll turn my last couple degrees. And I'll lead my turn by almost a mile this time. 400 to go on altitude. I'll slow down a little bit. Okay, my needle centered. I'm going to turn it that last couple degrees to my inbound course of 037. And I'm a little bit inside my DME arc, so I'm not going to turn an additional, because I'll bring it, that'll tighten it up even more and bring me closer to the vortac, which I don't want to be. Okay, here comes my inbound course. I'm going to go ahead and turn. I'm going to maintain 90 knots on this approach. Now my next intersection is Surrey. I can be at 2500 at the 19 DME. I've got 4.5 miles, so I'm not going to come down just yet. I'm going to use this time to stabilize my speed and everything else and get set up for what the final approach. There's 90 knots, looking good. Needle is centered. Okay, I'll start coming on down to 2,500. This is pretty darn cool. And since this is a VOR DME alpha, it is a circling approach by definition. There's no straight in like there is for an ILS or GPS. So my minimum descent altitude is 1,260. And I've got about 1,500 to go. And once I cross Surrey at the 19 DME, a mile from now, I can then start my descent up to a key bay of 1420. So I'll have 1,000 feet to lose before the next intersection. Okay, there's my 19 DME. I can start coming on down. All right, everything's looking good. Lights, controls, flaps, good. Propeller, mixture, we're good. $1260 going missed at 14.5. Got 3 miles. $500 to go. $1260 MDA. We are right on course. Looking good. Got a half mile. There's the airport. Gear down. Flaps down. That's how you fly a DME arc. Well, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. That'll certainly help me out, as we're leaving a bunch of comments and engaging in lively discussions down below. Maybe snag one of these shirts if you can. And thanks for staying with me on 121 Point Mike.